The UFC are going out of their way to try and prevent Robert Whittaker from winning his trilogy bout against Israel Adesanya. Now, Dana White hit up Instagram Live yesterday and announced that the next pay-per-view will be UFC 293 that will take place on September the 10th, and it will be held in Sydney, Australia. And the main event for this card is set to be Israel Adesanya versus the winner of Dricus du Plessis and Robert Whittaker. Now, for those of you who are informed and in the game, Robert Whittaker and Dricus du Plessis are fighting on July the 9th at UFC 290. Now, why is this a problem? Well, you see, there's only 9 weeks between UFC 290 and UFC 293. There's very little time between these events. We're really cram packing everything in quite a few months. You know, as a fight fan, this is great because you're going to get constant action. Especially these recent cards that are coming up after this little drought we're having right now are really good. But the problem with Israel Adesanya fighting at UFC 293 against the winner of Whittaker and du Plessis is that it gives either of the fighters basically 9 weeks to prepare in their best case. Now, let's break down this further. Robert Whittaker, as I've mentioned, is set to fight du Plessis at 290 on July the 10th. July the 9th. You know, I don't want to, it's a bit of a low-hanging fruit right now. Everyone's saying it, and they're not wrong for saying it. I'm saying it as well. It is very likely that Robert Whittaker is going to school Dricus du Plessis. You know, it's 3 rounds. Dricus hasn't got the best cardio to begin with. I mean, I'm not going to spend a while talking about this. It's very set in stone, more or less, that Robert Whittaker will come out on top in this matchup. So it's safe to assume that once Robert Whittaker wins, which he probably will, he's then only got 9 weeks to turn around against Israel Adesanya, and that's the best case scenario. You know, he's just coming off a fight with Dricus du Plessis, and I'm still talking about the best case scenario, and he's instantly got to get back into camp, instantly going to have another weight. Well, 9 weeks later, he's got to have another weight cut, and it's not like Rob cuts a lot of weight, but these are all things that, you'd like to minimise. It's just not the best outcome for it, and I'll tell you why they're doing it. They're doing it because they do not want Robert Whittaker as champion for whatever reason. Well, Izzy's their big pay-per-view star right now. He fits the whole, his antics and his actions fit in with, what the higher-ups in the world want right now. I won't really go into it, but, Israel Adesanya is a very good champion to have for these sort of people we have in charge. Now, so they want him. They want to keep him there, and additionally, he is somewhat of a pay-per-view draw. He's not a massive one, but he is definitely more of a star than Robert Whittaker. They don't want Robert Whittaker dethroning him, and also there is a high chance that Robert Whittaker could beat Israel Adesanya if you just match them up next. If you skip this du Plessis fight, I think that Robert Whittaker won their last fight. I thought it was razor close, but I thought Rob won rounds 2, 4, and 5. And that's what made the idea of a trilogy so much more compelling. Even if you were an Adesanya fan, you can say, "Oh, Izzy schooled him in the first fight and knocked him out." But the second one, even if you think Izzy won, you can't deny you would have went, "Wow, that's really that's really competitive. A lot more razor close. Rob's really improving. I wonder what would happen a third time." That question would be at the back of your mind. But now you're not really going to see the full effects of that because Robert Whittaker's only got 9 weeks after having a fight to turn around and get back in camp, back in training. And now that's the best case scenario. The best case scenario is Rob gets in there, schools du Plessis or puts him out of there in round 3, and instantly goes back into camp. So that sounds shit, and that's the best scenario. The worst scenario for this is, what if Whittaker has a war with du Plessis, which there is a chance that can happen. Whittaker, is an amazing fighter and whatnot, but Dricus just seems to be using his brute strength and just athleticism to absolutely, steamroll his way through the division. There's a bit of humour in this. Now, I'm not bashing Dricus. I'm actually a big fan of Dricus du Plessis. He truly is an African king. But You know, you're not going to sit there and say he's technically the best striker, but what he does excel in is getting into wars, which he just seems to win. You know, he's stronger, he's tougher. While his cardio does seem sus, he can still, like, he puts himself in very uncomfortable situations quite willingly. He's got a lot of heart and a lot of grit, and when it comes to just swinging those fucking big old arms out, he'll do that, and he seems to get KOs, you know, and he's a strong dude. And I know, you know, Darren Till isn't much to talk about. He is a disappointment. He manhandled Till, and he had a war with Brunson that he just beats. He just out-toughed him and out-physicaled him. So Dricus du Plessis is dangerous. So there is a chance that Robert Whittaker can just get caught, get hurt badly as well. Du Plessis, like I said, is a big dude, got some fucking power in those hands. You know, so if Whittaker has a war with du Plessis, then, you know, the situation's looking a lot worse, because then he's, you know, coming out of that fight with an injury, or he's, you know, like, or he's been rocked or knocked down or something like that, and then he's instantly got to turn around. It's basically an injustice towards Whittaker, and it just sucks me. It just really annoys me, man. Like, forget whatever I've said about Izzy in the past. Let's look at this from an unbiased standpoint. That trilogy, wherever you sit on the Izzy appreciation scale, would have been interesting, because, like I said, the second fight was so close, and regardless whether you know, if people are even talking about it being a robbery, it's close enough. So we're not, you know, this fight might not deliver now at 293. We might see a injured, battered Whittaker go in there against Izzy, and then Izzy beats him, and it's kind of it's a bit more of, you know, we're going to have to listen to the fans, and it becomes a bit more of a fake legacy win, you know, because they're just going to ignore the fact that Whittaker had to turn around in 9 months. I'd like to bring this up as well. The UFC have done this before. They did this with Marvin Vettori after he beat Kevin Holland. They turned him around in, it was like 10, it may have been like 8, it's 8 to 10 weeks, it's something like that. They turned him around again to fight Izzy. It's bullshit, man. It's bullshit. You know, it's clear favoritism towards Izzy, which, you know, fine. If you know, if someone's a pay-per-view draw, then they should be getting, you know, I'm fine with them getting a bit more, you know, a bit of a nudge here and there, a bit of attention, fine. But not this. You're not sabotaging, you know, the other contenders' chances of victory, you know. And while they're not directly sabotaging Whittaker, in fact, they've promised him the title shot after he beats du Plessis. They're doing it in the worst way possible. They're saying, right, 9 weeks, you're getting back in there against against a really tough matchup for you to begin with. You know, good luck. And they're just kind of sending him off. I just think the whole thing's kind of fucked, to be honest. I'd like to know what everyone thinks in the comments below. Do you lot think Whittaker's turning around too quickly if he beats du Plessis? What do you think, you know, what do you think's going to happen? Right, cheers.